welcome to another edition of Fired Up Author Greet and Meet. So today we have Donna Thomas. She's the CEO of Mountainside Clothing and is an influencer among all Luraro retailers and has sustained sales among the top 1% of the company. She coaches and mentors her team, and when she has free time, she has appeared as a guest on podcasts, is a speaker, and is also working on a book on how to overcome life's storms. She has over 35 years of corporate experience. We welcome Donna to the show. Thank you so much, Donna, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, our pleasure. So, all of you who are joining us live can drop in a hashtag live. And if you're catching us on replay, drop us a hashtag replay. And it would also be nice to know where you're joining us from. So, you can let us know in the comments where you're joining us from. So, Donna, I shared a little bit about you. So, would you like to tell our viewers more about you, your journey so far?
Yes. So I kind of started my journey a long time ago, but from a career perspective, about 35 years in high tech industry. And since then, I actually had two previous companies, but I've also been in corporate America with progressive roles. And one of the probably proudest moment of my career was when I actually helped build out an organization of women to mentor them professionally and personally to climb the corporate ladder. And in doing that, there's obviously lots of obstacles and challenges that ladies have to work through to actually get there. And so I was able to do that. In 2016, my husband had a heart attack in January and again in October. And so my travels and I was a vice president and stuff. I had a lot of things going on. I had to really turn my attention to my home life. And so my daughter wanted to start this business selling clothes, and I decided to partner with her. And well, since then, life has gone on. She's a mother of young children and chooses to have a private life now. And so I'm actually still doing it. And my husband is he's not retired. He just left his regular job to start his entrepreneurial career. So I'm mentoring and coaching him. It's so fun. Um, but through all of this, we learn a lot about ourselves, experiences, and really the theme for me is storms. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. Everything in life always seems to be harder for me than the average person just because of the set of circumstances I was born into. So I think I probably over answered your question.
That's absolutely fine. We're all meeting you today, so it's totally fine. And it's great to know that you've been coaching and mentoring a lot of women in the corporate space and now in their entrepreneurial journey. What would you say to people who are, thinking of maybe starting their own business, getting in, becoming a small business owner, or becoming an entrepreneur? What would you tell them?
So this may start showing my age a little bit, but they tell you in school that in order to start a business, you need to have 7 years of income in the bank because you need to pay your bills, right? While you're waiting for, money to come in. Well, the thing is that I still am a firm believer that's what it is. So to just quit your job and not have customers lined up, you're not going to do very well. What you need to do is start slow, but you really should have income somewhere else to support your lifestyle while you're building the company. Um, I'm a firm believer you do not yank out profits from a company, you reinvest them. And so the company that I have is 6 years old. So, I'm close to having one more year and then things will be a lot different. But anyway, I encourage ladies to make sure that they have their finances in order that they can literally make that kind of commitment. Because if they're living day to day and they cannot make a commitment, no matter, I mean, you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, but you got to keep pressing on. If you don't have the grit and commitment to do it, then you're already setting yourself up for conditions to not be successful. So really it's mindset. You got to be in it to win it, right? You can't just hang a shingle and expect everybody to show up. It doesn't happen that way. So that's the thing. And then the other thing is family. You should have a conversation with your spouse, your children, or whoever that you might decide to include in the business. You need to have an upfront discussion, lay out the expectations, document them. Shoot, hire an attorney to help you. You need to kind of sort out what the responsibilities are. What does it mean to be 50% owner or 25% owner or 10% owner? What are those obligations that you must meet? Those are very important conversations to have. And if you're unwilling to sit down and have them, then it's probably not a good idea to have them as a partner. You should do it solo. I'm telling you, the only one you can trust in life is yourself. You may love your husband, you may love your children, you may love whoever it is, but at the end of the day, you have to trust that person like you would trust yourself. And if you can't do that, then you should do the venture on your own. You'll be happy. So
Yeah, some very uh, important topic that's generally not talked about. So, yeah, definitely points to keep in mind. And yeah, becoming an entrepreneur is very easy, but sustaining it over a period of time and not having that company fail takes a lot of effort and a lot of not hustle, but a lot of work at your end, and you need to be in it to win it. Absolutely. Would you like to share a bit about the story that you've shared in the book?
yes. So, a lot of times in life, we take things for granted, or we kind of just assume the role that our parents expect us to have. Or maybe our parents have no expectation and we just live with what we see. Well, I was kind of born into an environment that nobody wanted me, right? My dad didn't want me. I was a mistake. My mom, she wished she'd have aborted me. Those were messages I was hearing as a child. That's not good. It's not good. So, obviously I kind of felt to myself I had purpose. If I wasn't wanted, there was a reason why I was there. And so my parents got divorced when I was 8, and that's beyond the age of reasoning. But it was like when they got divorced, I immediately grew up. I had to worry about clean clothes, food, all kinds of stuff. And I had to figure out ways to cope, which as a 5-year-old, a lot of times we learn how to cope with things. But this challenge came a little bit long, after 5, I was 8. And living my life without my dad was, I mean, the worst thing. Now, he told me I was a mistake, but at least he took care of feeding me, making sure I had my laundry done. Those things weren't happening anymore. My mom was really sick, and shame on my dad for not finding, a treatment method to try to help my mother. But I mean, they were just kind of like this. So when I didn't realize at the time you would call it a storm, but when I reflect back in life, I might have had more storms than what I'm sharing with you, but my first storm was literally, okay, they had a divorce. What now? Right? I had to figure out all these things. I told stories about my age so I could get jobs. I was shocked. I was 11 years old. If you look at my Social Security record, my first paying job was when I was 11. And I think I told them I was 15 at the time to get the job. So, you know, I was trying to find money. My mother, I mean, we went from a middle class neighborhood to moving to Mississippi. My mother, all she had was alimony, child support, and Social Security. She was on disability because she couldn't hold down a job. A lot of money, you think? No. Her total income was maybe $400 a month, and rent on a house was maybe 60 or 70. And you could see how immediately money was eating up. There was no money to buy me clothes. Food, we had food stamps. So when that food was gone, we had to figure out what to eat the rest of the month. I mean, it literally was a lot of pressure, and I was a kid. I was a kid solving adult problems and still trying to be a kid. And it was really hard on me. So why did I pick that? Because that is part of who I am. I learned how to cope. I I did some things that enabled me to apply and repeat if I needed to. And so um, the hardship, the childhood hardship, I'm not the only one in the world that has gone through this. But the thing is that I have peers, I have customers who have had similar backgrounds, but instead of saying, no, I won't do that, I'm going to do this instead, I allowed myself to dream. And when you're dealing with adult problems, a lot of times you don't dream. You just kind of like accept, put up, move on. My eldest sister, who was 8 years older than me, she had kids and was living on welfare. I didn't see that as a career. Now, I was born in a time where women wanted to be equals, right? I heard a lot of that programming, yet I didn't have a TV. I read the newspaper, okay? Now, a lot of people my age had TVs. My household didn't have a TV. I might have got to watch TV 3 or 4 times a year if I was lucky. Maybe a little bit more if I went to see, my grandparents, they had a TV, or my aunt or uncle, they had a TV. But still, I mean, I was also a kid that went outside and played, rode horses, have a funny horse story. Um, got to get on the little mini bikes, that was a big deal. I mean, so I was really trying so hard to live a normal life. By the way, I didn't have a mini bike or a horse. And I was 14 years old when I got my first bike. Okay. How many kids go till they're 14 to get a bike? Even at my age, all the kids have bikes. Shoot. I don't even know if I had a tricycle. I don't even remember if I had a tricycle. I mean, it's a different life. You're born into a situation where nobody wants you. They're not going to invest in you and get you things, right? You had to hustle and get it done. I learned the hustling skill when I was an entrepreneur. Like, I collected Coke bottles. My Uncle Henry drove me around and let me collect Coke bottles, and I took them to the grocery store, and I had a little spending money. I could go buy myself a new outfit. I babysat. I did all kinds of things. When you're born into that kind of environment, you don't realize that you're in a storm. But as I look back, that was the storm that helped define who I am today. Because people will characterize me as, she doesn't take no for an answer. If she wants yes, she'll make it a yes. That's true. I have built up over time this need to, get the answer I want to get. Now, does that mean that it happens like flipping a light switch? No. I'm willing to work hard for it. And some of the opportunity that has come my way, the progressive leadership in my career, I had to work hard for it. I went to college. Apparently, college really means a big deal to have a leader in a company. So, I kept going back to college. I made investments in, who I was as a person. I am very proud that I'm a Christian. At the time I was doing my first storm, I felt like control was the answer, and control is not the answer, but it helped me get through my first storm. So, um, but I have since learned that you surrender that control. And when you surrender that control and you let God be God, He's got your back, and He's providing opportunity and God moments to affirm that you're going in His will and His direction. And I have faced challenges. And if you want to buy the book that I'm writing, the other book, I will talk about some of those challenges, and some of them are unbelievable. But you know what? I'm not the only person in the world. Right now, I'm sitting in this seat talking to you because I have the courage and opportunity and the time to share. And I encourage others to share, because the more you speak up and share about the things that you've experienced, you give promise, strength, and hope to others that they can do the same. And I know, like my sister, who was 8 years older than me, she she went throughout her life, and she was upset at me, mad at me, not because of who I was, but because it appeared to her that I had made better decisions about what I wanted to do in life. And I lost her last year. She had liver cancer. And, we had a really good reconciliation. We talked about things. But I'm here to say that people get mad at you and you have no idea why. It's not that you've done anything personally, they are attributing your success to them as an anger point. You know, not everybody should be, not everybody is genuinely happy for someone who is successful. And success is defined very differently from person to person. Just like happiness is, my happiness may not be your happiness, but you can get to a level where you are content and happy by choices you've made. And if you were to ask me as a kid, was anybody with me, coaching me, helping me when I moved out of that storm? As a kid, I would have said no, I did it all myself. But when I reflect back, God had the right people on my path. He was helping me. There are people on this planet that are angels, and I had a couple of angels then. Because if I didn't have any of that, I wouldn't have made it out of that storm. I probably would have followed my sister's footsteps and had been on welfare, right? Now, by the way, my sister did end up bettering herself. She ended up getting a job and working and things as the kids got older. And, I don't fault her for anything. These are life's choices. We make them and we live by them. Whether or not we're happy about them is another whole story. I feel good. I've put out into the world as much positive as I can. I feel like I did right by my kids to raise them in a very loving environment. I was always very careful to never say anything that would be perceived as rejection, because me living with parental rejection, that's a tough thing. And I know there's lots of people out there that are dealing with it. But I never wanted my children to have to face rejection. So, anyway, I know I over answered that question again.
Yeah, but it's a very inspiring story of how you started, and how you took decisions. You made those choices. You know, there are a lot of people who would have seen what's around them and given up and not
Yeah.
reached out and done. Like, I was really inspired um by the point that you had put in your chapter. I think, like, how many books were you reading every day?
Oh my God. Yes. So I would go to the library every day after school. The bell would ring and everybody would run home. No, I went to the library and I check out like 9 books a day. On the weekends, I take 20 books home, because I felt like those books had secrets and knowledge that I didn't know about how I could have a better life. And I knew that through reading, okay, I actually literally was able to unlock the skill of dreaming, because I could transport myself into the story and I could realize that, oh my God, this isn't what I have to accept. I'm going to tell you my favorite book, okay? It's not written in there, but my favorite book as a kid, when I found My Side of the Mountain, I read that thing like 20 times. I was like, okay, how did he do this? I was really thinking, I could go to the woods. I could do this on my own. Of course, hate bugs, so it went nowhere. But that book gave me the idea that I could transport who I wanted to be and where I wanted to be, and gave me promise that I could do anything I wanted to do. I mean, if a kid could live inside of a tree in the woods and make it work, I could do it too. I don't know if I wanted to live in a tree. I don't think I could have handled a snake just coming right on by that tree. you know. So, but the book itself just gave me so much for a kid that had nothing, right? It's making me tear a little bit. But really, I had moments like that as a child. And so there was one school I went to. It was the only school that I stayed a long period of time. My mother had to move around a lot. So I was in different communities quite a bit. Um, but the one school, I was in that school for, it was an elementary school, and I was in that school for 3 years. And when I got to the last year of school, I knew I wasn't going to make my goal. I had started my goal in third grade, and I was going to read every book in the library. And how I was doing this is, back then they had the books aligned. They didn't have sections, or at least in this school they didn't. It was all alphabetical, right? So I got to the letter K, and I was like, if I had a couple more years, I probably could have done it. I was reading like crazy, and I didn't care what the topic was. I didn't care what I didn't care if it was a mystery. I didn't care if it was an informational how-to book, whatever. I just picked the next in line, and I just took them home. And I will tell you, another series that I loved to death was the Great Brain series. And I'm so sad that they never made a movie about it. They never did cartoons. But it was about this kid that lived in the late 1880s, and he was an entrepreneur. And so his parents always adopted the new thing. So like when the toilet came, his parents had the toilet. So he was charging a nickel to kids to come and watch how the toilet flushed. I mean, I thought that was ingenious. How do you make money? Well, I mean, in children's books, people put that knowledge and kids are reading it, and okay, you got a great idea, share it, charge money for it, right? I mean, I was reading this and I was like 8, 9 years old. I mean, that was pretty amazing. So books, no matter what the book is, there is something for everyone in that book. Whether or not it's a how-to book, it's an informational book, and all books have knowledge. Knowledge, whether or not you get a degree for it or not. The joy of reading was with me as a kid. Now, to tell you the truth, as an adult, because I am so busy and I'm trying to keep family in balance and all this stuff, I don't have the liberty of just sitting and reading like I used to. But Alexa's my best friend, and I'll tell her I want to hear something, and while I'm doing whatever I'm doing, she'll read it to me. So I'm still getting, words, I'm getting ideas in my head, but I'm doing it a little differently. And I never thought Alexa would exist when I was 8. Big difference.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. And so it's really helped you on your journey from such a beginning to becoming the vice president of Xerox, and now starting your own company, and having such a uh, followership, and it's really nice what you've been able to achieve, and that's because you haven't given up. It's such an inspiring story. And like another thing that I really liked about what you generally say is, staying calm no matter how strong the storm is, to stay calm in that storm. So that's really nice. So like in this journey, how has your experience been with the Fired Up collaboration?
So I have to tell you, I've been very blessed. Blessed is the right word for this. I've met ladies who have had storms in their life and how they fought through. And it gives me more encouragement to want to write the full story of how to, move in and out of storms and the different things that I, got involved with, it really has given me encouragement. I mean, some of these ladies in this group are fighting cancer or have overcome. They're survivors. And like Heather's story is just absolutely amazing. I do believe it doesn't matter what your path or journey is. If you have your mind made up, and this is the caveat, you must get validation, verification that you are on God's plan and His will. You learn how to submit to Him, and you take joy in the storm. You need to be, content, because out of every storm, whether or not you're center to it or on the edge, out of every storm, I can name at least one, if not many, blessings, unforeseen blessings that happened to me during the storm and after the storm. Everybody says, it when the storms pass, then you'll see your blessings. Oh, no, no, no. There are blessings during the storm. How you find your way through that storm, if you develop a relationship with Christ, He will send you to the scripture. He will put sermons in your path. He will put people in your path that will speak truths to you and help you understand that you're going the right way through the storm. I mean, a lot of times people pick, and I'm not knocking, because I know people pick choices, and while it's hard on them, they choose a storm and walk into the storm by choosing to get out. And I never got out of a storm. I migrated through or was on the edge of the storm. And a lot of times now, because I got the storm mentality and I think about things and how to problem solve, many times I'm not centered to the storm. I'm just on the edge. So all I need to do is lift the person who is in the storm. Or maybe it is I need to distance myself, or maybe provide another path for that person to explore so they can get through the storm. And, storms, we don't choose our storms. They just kind of like happen. Because I say most of the storms are really centered around this thing called drama, that we characterize it as drama now. And drama can happen because you have someone who thrives off of it all the time. You might have somebody who's incredibly negative, and they could be a loved one. They could be a family member. But if they're destroying your psyche and you can't muster up the energy to be positive about something, you're living in a storm. You need to choose to cut out that. And how you might cut that out is maybe just don't go to the family reunion. I don't know. But the thing is that when we recognize there is a storm, there are definitely some confidence steps that you can take that will be healthy for you and will help you rise above what is happening and help you move on. You had mentioned a little bit earlier about, you know, um, how I stay, I have contentment and stuff. There is a character in the Bible. There's lots of characters in the Bible I relate to, but one in particular is Paul. Paul wrote a lot of the New Testament, and before he became a Christian, he hated people. He was killing people. He was doing all kinds of stuff. He was like the nastiest man on earth, right? Had a lot of hate in his heart. But he came to know Christ, and he fought for Christianity, and he spent lots of sleepless hours and nights in prison. He was mistreated. Nobody was nice to him, except, his friends, but I'm talking about, the guards and stuff. Nobody was nice to him. He went through tremendous storm. He had multiple cycles of being imprisoned. But you know what? Through all of that, you look at those letters that he wrote to these different communities, He did that while he was being in prison, while he was being treated this way. Why? Because he chose joy. He chose to be content. He knew that he was not only a recipient of redeeming love, but he had been called to give words of redeeming love to communities who were at chaos, had major storms going on all over the place. I don't know if I could have survived if I lived during that time. But you got to think about how unrestful that time period was, where they were trying to establish a church and move on, right? And I think, okay, he had the worst conditions in the world and he chose joy. Joy is a choice. Um, and you grow your faith, and hope just seems to be more present than ever when you grow your faith. And hope, joy, contentment. You need to be content with the life that you have built for yourself through decisions you've made. And many people, they don't think they've made decisions. They've just kind of like went with the flow. Their parents did this, they're doing this, that kind of thing. Well, that's a decision, right? And the decision might have been made out of fear of rejection because you're not doing what your parents did, right? So, whatever those things are, my choices were I didn't have parents that put expectation on me. I put the expectation on me. I was the honor student. I was, you know, recognized as being really brilliant, and I was a very poor child. There were teachers that saw to it that I had opportunity because they saw I wanted opportunity. I made it very clear to the teaching community where I went to school. In fact, I felt so more at home at school than at home that I would stay at school as long as they would let me. I mean, I'd be the last person to leave that building almost every day. Why? I felt safe. I felt accepted. Imagine that. Teachers have an amazing responsibility. And if they do it right, every child can be blessed. I was.
Absolutely. Yeah. We all need a helping hand, a listening ear. It doesn't matter what they say, just that you are there to listen to them. That makes a lot of difference. Donna, as we come to the end of it, uh, where can your dream clients for share? Like, who are your dream clients? How do you help them, and where can they find you?
So, I'm talking just on behalf of the storm and being able to coach and mentor. I literally have in our regular business, mountainsidegals.com. Um, if you go and book an appointment to come to the shop, I actually put a place there where you can actually book a free time with me. And after that free time, if you think you need me to help mentor and coach you or help you, you know, come up with concrete things that you need to do to get through like the 5-step process that I put in the book, I'm happy to do that, but I'm going to have to charge you hours because you're taking hours away from shop where people come and shop. But if you need help also with, you want to change your look, you have a goal in mind and you don't know how to get through it, and maybe it means that you need to dress sharper and be like, you need to look like the go-to person, even though nobody's ever treated you like that. You change your look at work, you're going to get more responsibility. You might need to change your look for a new job you want, maybe a different environment. Maybe you're dating a guy and he hasn't gotten off the bench to propose to you. I could help you there. I've helped ladies with working through divorce, loss of a spouse or a loved one, significant weight loss. There's a story inside of a story. I've lost a lot of weight and I'm still working on it. Um, I've helped others pick different pieces of clothes that accentuate their new body look in a way that's respectful. but also helps them feel great about themselves. And of course, if you're local to where we're at, we go out once a month for dinner. I do flamingo, which is kind of like bingo, but Facebook won't let us say bingo, so we do flamingo. And we have other community activities that we do. So if you're looking for new friends, it's up to you if you want to buy clothes, but I'll tell you, the community that I have built around the clothing, there are a lot of caring and sharing ladies, and it's so positive. I have a daily positivity chat with these ladies. We started during COVID, and we talk about everything under the sun, but it's a way to connect with the ladies, especially those that still can't even get out because they're afraid to get COVID. So there's ways that I'm reaching out in my regular business, but I am starting a new thing. I'm not a certified counselor, okay? But what I can do is I'm a great listener, and if you need it and you want it, I'll be happy to help you scribe your future. Come up with your strategy of how you're going to knock it out of the park, get to the next step, whatever that goal is. And, I'll walk with you along the way. But I do have a courtesy opportunity where we can meet for like 45 minutes on a Zoom call, and we'll figure it out if you want. It's up to you. Oh, and
Absolutely.
I have a website that she has on here. It's Donna dot actually it's donnathomas.us. It's a website. I will actually have it active. We're still working out the details, so I may actually have you, when you type in donnathomas.us, it may actually take you to the Mountainside Gals VIP community. Still working on the little issues here before the book's published. Trying to work that, but you can certainly find me that way as well. And I don't know if I said this, I can't remember, but if you go to bookmountainside, all one word.com, you will go to my calendar and you can schedule some time with me on my calendar. Now, I will be separating it out, but this was a sure fix for right now. So if somebody wants my time before the book comes out, go ahead, book it up.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time out and sharing your expertise and knowledge with others and being free with your time. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for joining us today, Donna, and
Thank you.
sharing all the tough times that you've been through, the difficult times, and how you did not give up, how you thrived, and now are helping others to thrive and feel better about themselves and building that community that is stronger together. Thank you so much, Donna.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.